The orbital defense platforms around Earth erupted in a cascade of light and debris as Commander Reyna Blackwood watched from the bridge of the INS Prometheus. The Vanguard fleet had emerged from the darkness of space 6 hours ago, their obsidian ships moving with devastating precision through humanity's most sophisticated defenses. Multiple energy signatures detected, Commander. Lieutenant Nasser Omar called from his tactical station. The lead vessels are charging weapons. His voice remained steady despite the chaos unfolding before them. Reyna's fingers tightened around the command rail. Status of civilian evacuation. 65% complete, Communications Officer Jin Park reported. We need another 25 minutes to clear the remaining shelters. They were minutes they didn't have. The Vanguard ships moved like a single organism, their formation shifting and adapting with impossible coordination. They hadn't bothered with demands or ultimatums. They simply appeared at the edge of the solar system and began methodically dismantling human civilization. Engineering reports quantum core at maximum capacity, Omar added. One more direct hit, and our conventional shields won't hold. Reyna closed her eyes, processing their options. The Prometheus was humanity's newest warship, incorporating experimental quantum technology that conservative elements in the government had deemed too dangerous to deploy. Now those same critics were likely dead, their caution rendered meaningless by the reality of first contact. All hands, this is the commander, Reyna broadcasts shipwide. I won't deceive you about our situation. We're outmatched, but thousands of civilians are counting on us for those 25 minutes. Whatever happens next, remember we're fighting for more than survival. We're fighting for humanity's future. She turned to her chief scientist, Dr. Richard Walsh. That experimental quantum consciousness interface you've been developing, is it operational? Walsh's eyes widened. Commander, it's completely untested. The theoretical models suggest human consciousness could interface directly with quantum fields, but the neural load could be fatal. More fatal than that. Reyna gestured at the Vanguard ships advancing on their position. Hook it up to my station. Commander, regulations clearly state. Regulations assumed we'd be fighting enemies who followed rules of engagement. Set it up. The next few minutes passed in a blur as Walsh's team worked to integrate the quantum interface with the commander's neural port. The Vanguard drew closer, methodically destroying everything in their path. Interface ready, Walsh reported. But Commander, there's something else. During development, we detected patterns in the quantum field that suggested consciousness. Not human, not alien, but something else. If this works, you might experience. Time's up, Omar shouted. Enemy ships in firing range. Reyna slammed her neural port into the interface panel. The universe exploded behind her eyes as her consciousness expanded, touching quantum fields she hadn't known existed. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship anymore. It was an extension of her nervous system. She could feel every circuit, every power conduit, every quantum particle in its structure. And in that moment of connection, she felt something else, a presence in the quantum field, ancient and vast. It reached for her mind with tendrils of pure mathematics, and Reyna understood with sudden clarity. The Vanguard weren't the first advanced species to threaten younger civilizations. In humanity's desperate quantum experiments, they'd accidentally tapped into a defense protocol left behind by some long-vanished race. All power to forward shields. The words came from Reyna's mouth, but the commands flowed directly from her merged consciousness to the ship's systems. The Prometheus's quantum core pulsed with new energy patterns, turning the very fabric of space into a barrier. The Vanguard weapon struck, and for the first time since the invasion began, failed to penetrate. Reyna felt the impact as if on her own skin, but the shield held. More than held, it began to adapt, quantum patterns shifting faster than any computer could calculate, driven by human intuition linked directly to the underlying fields of reality. Impossible, Walsh whispered, staring at his readings. The quantum field is learning, evolving. Commander, your brain patterns are changing. Reyna barely heard him. The presence in the quantum field was growing stronger, showing her possibilities she'd never imagined. The Vanguard weren't invincible. They were simply further along a technological path humanity had barely begun to explore. But they'd never encountered a species that could merge consciousness with quantum reality itself. "Get those civilians evacuated," Reyna ordered, her voice resonating with harmonics that made the bridge crew shiver. "And send everything we're learning to Earth's surviving quantum labs." The Vanguard thought they were dealing with primitives who would break under their first show of force. She allowed herself a grim smile as the enemy ships futilely battered against the Prometheus's evolving quantum shields. Time to show them how dangerous a primitive species can be when you back them into a corner. The battle for Earth was far from over, but in linking human consciousness to quantum reality, humanity had just changed the rules of engagement. The real question was, how would this evolution change humanity itself? Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Thomas Harrison studied the quantum interface readings from the INS Prometheus's last transmission. 3 months had passed since Commander Blackwood's desperate gambit had saved thousands of civilians and revolutionized humanity's understanding of quantum physics. "Run it again," he ordered, and the holographic display flickered to life, showing Reyna's neural patterns during the quantum merge. Her consciousness had expanded far beyond normal human limitations, achieving something that should have been impossible. "We've run it 57 times. Dr. Olivia Patel protested from her workstation. "The pattern remains consistent. Whatever Commander Blackwood accessed in the quantum field, it fundamentally altered her neural architecture." Thomas traced the complex wave patterns with his finger. The Vanguard had withdrawn after the Prometheus's stand, but everyone knew they'd return. Earth's defenses were still in ruins, and one quantum-shielded ship wouldn't be enough next time. "We're missing something," he muttered. The quantum field didn't just respond to Reyna's consciousness. It reached back, like it was waiting for us to achieve this level of development. A soft chime announced the arrival of Admiral Marcus Wu, his dark uniform bearing the new insignia of the Quantum Defense Initiative. "Please tell me you have good news, Doctor. Our long-range sensors show Vanguard fleet movements at the edge of the system." Thomas took a deep breath. "We've managed to stabilize the quantum interface, but there's a problem. The neural load that Commander Blackwood experienced, it should have killed her. We've run simulations on connecting other pilots to the system, and the results are consistently fatal." "Then how did she survive?" "Because she wasn't alone in there." Thomas brought up a new set of readings. "We've detected what we're calling quantum echoes. Patterns of organized energy that suggest conscious intent. Something exists in the quantum field itself, something that helped Reyna's mind adapt to the neural strain." The Admiral's expression hardened. "Are you suggesting we found aliens hiding in quantum space?" "Not aliens, more like ghosts in the machine. The quantum field maintains a kind of memory, recording the consciousness of species that achieve this level of development. When Reyna connected to it, she didn't just access raw quantum energy. She accessed their accumulated knowledge." Thomas gestured to a sealed chamber where the Prometheus's quantum core had been reinstalled. "We've built an improved interface incorporating what we learned from Reyna's experience. The system is ready for testing. But what? The consciousness patterns we detected, they're getting stronger. It's like Reyna's successful connection awakened something. The quantum field is more active now, showing signs of organization we've never seen before. Whatever knowledge is stored there, it wants to be found." Admiral Wu studied the quantum core through the chamber's observation window. "How many pilots can you interface with the new system? That's the other problem. The neural architecture has to be precise. We can't just plug anyone in. We need pilots with specific brainwave patterns, people whose minds can naturally resonate with quantum frequencies. We've screened thousands of candidates but only found 4 who might survive the connection. 4 ships against the entire Vanguard fleet." The Admiral shook his head. "It's not enough. Maybe it doesn't have to be." Thomas brought up a new simulation. "We've theorized that linked pilots might be able to share the neural load, creating a kind of quantum network." If it works, each ship would reinforce the others, allowing them to access more of the quantum field's potential without burning out their pilots' minds. And if it doesn't work, then we'll lose 4 pilots instead of 1. Thomas met the Admiral's gaze. But the Vanguard will be back soon, and they won't underestimate us again. We need every advantage we can get. Admiral Wu was silent for a long moment. Do it. But I want to meet these pilots first. If we're asking them to risk their minds interfacing with some ancient quantum consciousness, they deserve to know exactly what they're signing up for. Thomas nodded, but his attention was already turning back to the quantum readings. The patterns were shifting again, forming complex structures that almost looked like language. Whatever presence existed in the quantum field, it was becoming more active, more urgent. The real question was, what had humanity awakened, and would it be enough to save them from what was coming? Lieutenant Darius Patel took a deep breath as the neural interface needles slid into his spinal port. Around him, the bridge of the INS Artemis hummed with nervous energy as the crew prepared for humanity's first coordinated quantum assault. Neural sync in 3. Dr. Harrison's voice came through the comm. Remember, don't fight the quantum consciousness. Let it flow through you. Darius closed his eyes, feeling the familiar tingle as his mind expanded into the ship's systems. But this time was different. As his consciousness touched the quantum field, he felt others there. Commander Blackwood on the Prometheus, Captain Yuki Tanaka on the Helios, Lieutenant Aisha Hassan on the Aurora. Their minds formed a complex web of shared awareness, each reinforcing the others. Multiple Vanguard signatures detected, the tactical officer announced. They're targeting the lunar colonies. The alien fleet materialized from quantum space, 40 ships strong, their obsidian hulls gleaming with charged energy. They'd returned with overwhelming force, determined to crush the human resistance before it could spread. This is Commander Blackwood. Raina's voice resonated through both regular comms and the quantum link. Remember your training. Let the field guide you. Quantum Formation Delta. The 4 human ships moved in perfect synchronization, their enhanced consciousness allowing them to anticipate each other's actions at the quantum level. Darius felt the ancient presence in the field growing stronger, feeding them tactical data faster than any computer could process. The Vanguard struck first, reality-shearing beams lancing out from their forward arrays, but the networked quantum shields adapted instantly, turning their own energy back against them. 5 alien ships disappeared in blinding explosions. Impossible. The Vanguard commander's transmission crackled across space. Your technology is primitive. You cannot. We're not primitive, Darius found himself responding, his voice carrying harmonics that made the bridge crew shiver. We're evolving. Through the quantum link, he felt the others' agreement. With each passing moment, their shared consciousness grew stronger, accessing deeper layers of the quantum field's stored knowledge. The Vanguard ships were broadcasting energy signatures that suggested confusion, even fear. But something else was happening. As the battle intensified, Darius began to perceive patterns in the quantum field that went beyond tactical data. He saw echoes of ancient conflicts, fragments of long-dead civilizations that had achieved similar breakthroughs, and warnings. Dr. Harrison, he called out, using Thomas's first name without thinking. The field, it's showing me something. The Vanguard, they're not just attacking us. They're running from something. Through their shared consciousness, Raina, Yuki, and Aisha received the same revelation. The quantum field wasn't just a storage medium for advanced knowledge. It was a record of a cycle that had repeated countless times. Species would achieve quantum consciousness, evolve beyond their physical limitations. And then, a massive energy surge erupted from the Vanguard flagship, different from anything they'd seen before. Emergency. Yuki's voice carried both terror and awe. They're trying to collapse the quantum field itself. No, Raina corrected through their link. They're trying to seal it, to stop whatever comes next. The quantum consciousness in their minds surged, showing them the truth. The Vanguard weren't conquerors. They were guardians, desperately trying to prevent younger species from making the same mistakes their ancestors had. But humanity's quantum evolution had already begun, and it couldn't be stopped. We have to make a choice, Darius realized, the weight of civilizations past pressing against his thoughts. We can retreat, seal ourselves off from the quantum field like the Vanguard want. Or we can push forward, face whatever they're so afraid of. Through their neural bridge, he felt the others' minds processing the same dilemma. The Vanguard's warning was clear: continue down this path, and humanity risked more than just their bodies. They risked their very nature as a species. But in that moment of shared consciousness, linked across quantum fields that transcended space and time, they all felt something else: possibility. The ancient presence that had guided them wasn't just a defense protocol, it was an invitation, an offer to join something greater than themselves. The question was, were they ready to accept it? The quantum field rippled with ancient knowledge as the four linked ships faced the Vanguard fleet. Through their shared consciousness, Darius, Reyna, Yuki, and Aisha perceived layers of reality that no human mind was meant to comprehend. The truth of the universe unfolded before them like pages of a cosmic book. Their flagship is preparing for another burst, Lieutenant Hassan reported, her voice resonating through both physical and quantum space. They're going to try to seal the quantum field permanently. Commander Blackwood's consciousness brushed against theirs. We can't let that happen. Not now that we understand what's really at stake. The Vanguard ships moved in perfect formation, their obsidian hulls channeling impossible amounts of energy. But through the quantum link, the human pilots could see what their enemies truly were: not conquerors, but shepherds. Guardians who had witnessed countless civilizations transcend physical form through quantum consciousness, only to face something that waited in the deeper layers of reality. "We're receiving a transmission," Captain Tanaka announced. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." The Vanguard commander's voice filled their minds, carried by both radio waves and quantum resonance. "You must understand. We have seen this before. Quantum consciousness is not just a technology. It is an evolutionary threshold. Cross it, and your species will change forever. Some changes lead to extinction." Through their neural bridge, the four pilots shared a moment of perfect understanding. The quantum field wasn't just a medium for faster-than-light travel or advanced weapons. It was the next stage of consciousness itself, a realm where thought and reality intersected. "Show them." Dr. Harrison's voice came through the comm. "Show them what we discovered in the deeper patterns." Lieutenant Patil reached into the quantum field, drawing forth the knowledge they'd gleaned from its ancient archives. "You're right to be afraid," he transmitted to the Vanguard fleet, "but you're fighting the wrong battle. The quantum field isn't a threat. It's trying to prepare us." Images flowed through their shared consciousness. Civilizations rising and falling, species transcending their physical forms, and something vast stirring in the depths of quantum space. Not a predator, but a presence. Not a threat, but an invitation. "The beings you fear," Commander Blackwood broadcast, "they're not destroyers. They're what we can become. What we're meant to become." The Vanguard flagship's energy readings spiked. "You cannot comprehend the price of evolution. We have seen entire species lose their identity, their very nature as beings." "Or maybe," Captain Tanaka interrupted, "you've been running so long you've forgotten how to adapt." Lieutenant Hassan's consciousness surged through their quantum link. "The field is showing us something else. The pattern isn't about extinction. It's about transformation. Each species that achieved quantum consciousness had a choice: retreat from the threshold, or embrace the change." The ancient presence in the quantum field grew stronger, responding to their understanding. Through their shared awareness, the human pilots could feel the weight of eons, the accumulated wisdom of countless civilizations that had faced this moment. "We choose to evolve," Commander Blackwood declared, her consciousness resonating with newfound power. "Not because we're unaware of the risks, but because standing still is the greater danger." The quantum field pulsed with energy as the 4 human ships moved as one. Their shields didn't just deflect the Vanguard's weapons. They absorbed them, transformed them, turned them into something new. The barrier between technology and consciousness began to blur. "It's happening." Dr. Harrison's voice held both awe and concern. "The quantum field, it's not just responding to you anymore. It's changing you. All of us." Through their neural bridge, the pilots could feel it. Their consciousness was expanding beyond the ships, beyond the battle, touching minds across Earth and its colonies. The quantum awakening wasn't limited to 4 pilots anymore. They were just the catalyst. The Vanguard fleet held position, their weapons powered but unused. "You cannot comprehend what you're beginning," their commander warned. "Once started, this evolution cannot be stopped." "We know," Lieutenant Puddle responded, his voice carrying the harmony of 4 minds speaking as one. "But evolution isn't about knowing the destination. It's about having the courage to take the next step." The quantum field surged one final time. And in that moment, the human pilots glimpsed what waited beyond the threshold. Not an ending, but a beginning. Not the death of their species, but its transformation into something that could touch the stars themselves. The Vanguard ships began to retreat, their obsidian hulls fading into quantum space. They were leaving not in defeat, but in recognition. Humanity had made its choice, for better or worse. As the ancient presence in the quantum field embraced them, Commander Blackwood broadcast one final message to Earth. "We've opened a door that can never be closed. The real question isn't whether humanity will change. It's what will become." The quantum field rippled with possibilities, and the next chapter of human evolution began.